Jack Morrison stood in the observation deck and looked at the stars. He had been doing this job for 20 years now, and his father had done it before him. His grandfather started it all. 3 generations of the Morrison family, all keeping the same secret. The secret was simple. Humanity was building weapons, big weapons, weapons so large that calling them ships did not feel right. They were planets that could move and fight. Jack turned away from the window and walked to his office. The metal floor made soft sounds under his boots. Around him, thousands of workers moved through the corridors. They all knew what they were building. Every single human in this facility knew. Every human in all 7 facilities knew. Millions of people, all keeping the same secret for 200 years. Kate Sullivan was waiting in his office. She was looking at her tablet, reading numbers and diagrams. Kate was the smartest person Jack had ever met. She designed the weapons that would go on the ships. She made the engines that would move them. She solved problems that seemed impossible. "We finished the 4th reactor today," Kate said without looking up. "The Sentinel is now at full power. We could move her tomorrow if we wanted to." Jack sat down at his desk. "How long until the others are ready?" "The Colossus needs 6 more months. The Bastion needs a year. The Guardian needs 18 months. Kate finally looked up from her tablet. "But Jack, the Viridians are moving faster than we thought. They hit another colony last week." Jack felt his jaw tighten. The Viridians. They were the strongest military power in the galaxy. They had the most ships, the best weapons, and the worst attitude toward humans. To them, humans were just workers, useful for mining and farming, but nothing more. 3 weeks ago, the Viridians destroyed a human colony called New Hope. 3 million people lived there. Men, women, children. The Viridians said they were making an example. They said humans needed to remember their place in the galaxy. The Galactic Council did nothing. They never did. Humans had no power in the council, no voice, no vote. Other species made the rules, and humans followed them or died. "Admiral Hayes wants to see you," Kate said quietly. "He's in the command center." Jack stood up and walked with Kate through the facility. They passed construction crews working on hull plating. They passed engineers testing weapon systems. They passed cafeterias where workers ate and talked and laughed. All of them were building something the galaxy had never seen before. The command center was deep inside the facility. Admiral Peter Hayes stood in front of a large display showing all 7 construction sites. He was an old man now, but his eyes were still sharp. He had been in the military for 50 years. He remembered when humans first met the other species. He remembered when humanity realized they needed to protect themselves. "Jack, Kate," the Admiral said, "we have a problem." The display changed. It now showed a list of human worlds. There were 42 human colonies in total, small planets on the edge of known space. The Viridians were claiming 12 of them. "The Viridian Emperor announced this morning," Admiral Hayes continued. "He says these worlds are now part of the Viridian Empire. He's giving humans 1 month to leave or become slaves." Kate put her hand over her mouth. Jack felt cold. "The Council?" Jack asked. "They voted 2 hours ago," the Admiral said. "They approved it. No opposition, no debate. They just let it happen." The room was silent for a moment. Jack thought about all the families on those 12 worlds. Farmers, teachers, children playing in parks. All of them would lose everything. "How long until we're ready?" the Admiral asked. Jack looked at Kate. She looked at her tablet again. 4 ships are ready now. 3 more need 6 to 18 months. Admiral Hayes nodded slowly. He walked to the window that looked out at the construction bay. Beyond the window, the Sentinel waited. It was the size of Earth's moon. Its surface looked like a planet, but it was covered in weapon ports and shield generators. Inside were cities, factories, and farms. It could move through space faster than any ship in the galaxy. It could destroy anything that got in its way. "I've been patient for 30 years, the Admiral said. "We've all been patient. Our parents were patient. Our grandparents were patient. We waited because we had to. We waited because if we moved too soon, they would destroy us completely." He turned back to face them. "But patience has limits. We will not watch them take more colonies. We will not watch them make our people slaves." He stood up straight. "Accelerate the timeline. I want all 7 ships ready to move in 5 years. I want weapon systems at full capacity. I want crews trained and ready." Jack felt his heart beating faster. This was it. After 200 years of hiding, humanity was almost ready. "And Jack," the Admiral added, "start moving the ships into position. Not close enough to be detected, but close enough to strike when we give the order. The galaxy thinks we're weak. They think we're helpless. They're about to learn how wrong they are." Jack saluted. Kate did the same. They left the command center and walked back through the facility. Around them, the work continued. Welders sparked, engines hummed, computers calculated. Humanity had been building in secret for 200 years. They had sacrificed everything to stay hidden. They had acted weak so no one would look too closely. They had accepted insults and abuse and death, but the time for hiding was almost over. Soon the galaxy would see what humanity had built. Soon, they would understand that the quiet species on the edge of space was not weak at all. Jack looked at Kate. 5 years, he said. She nodded. 5 years until everything changes. Lisa Chang walked through the forest and listened to birds singing. Trees grew tall around her, their leaves moving in a gentle breeze. A stream ran nearby, water flowing over smooth rocks. It was beautiful and peaceful. It was also inside a spaceship. Lisa stopped walking and looked up. Far above the trees, she could see the ceiling. It was designed to look like sky, complete with clouds and sunlight. But it was not real. None of this was real. The forest was real, the trees were real, the birds were real. But they were all inside the Sentinel, humanity's first planet-sized warship. She touched her communicator. "Chang to command. I'm heading to the bridge now." "Copy that, Commander," a voice replied. "Captain's waiting for you." Lisa walked to the nearest transport station. A small vehicle waited there, hovering above the ground. She got in and it moved quickly through the forest, then into a tunnel. The tunnel took her deep into the ship, past the living areas and the farms, past the factories and the power plants, all the way to the bridge. The bridge of the Sentinel was enormous. Screens covered the walls, showing data about every system on the ship. Hundreds of people worked at stations, monitoring engines and weapons and shields. In the center, Captain Alex Torres stood looking at the main display. "Commander Chang," he said when she arrived. "Good. You're here. We have a situation." The main display showed a map of human space. 42 colonies marked in blue. Surrounding them were other colors. Red for the Viridian Empire, green for the Council species, yellow for neutral territories. "The Viridians announced their plans this morning," Alex said. "They're not taking 12 colonies anymore, they're taking all of them, every human world. They plan to make humanity a slave species." Lisa felt anger rise in her chest. "When?" "They're sending fleets to every colony in 3 months. They'll arrive, claim the worlds, and force everyone to work for them." Alex turned to face her. "The Council voted on it yesterday. They approved it without discussion." 300 years, Lisa said quietly. "We've been part of the galactic community for 300 years. We've followed their rules. We've traded fairly. We've never caused problems." "And this is how they treat us?" "They think we're weak," Alex said. "They think because we don't have a big military, we can't fight back. They have no idea what we've been building." Lisa walked to the window. Outside, space was empty and dark. But she knew that out there, hidden in the darkness, were 6 more ships like the Sentinel. 7 total. 7 planet-sized warships that humanity had built in secret. "How did we do it?" she asked. How did we keep this secret for so long? Alex smiled. Because no one was looking. The galaxy thinks humans are simple. They think we're good at mining and farming, but not much else. So when we asked to mine resources in deep space, they said yes. When we built facilities in empty systems, they didn't care. Why would they? We were just humans doing human things. He pointed at the display. But we weren't just mining. We were gathering resources for this. We found dead planets in systems no one visits. We hollowed them out. We built reactors inside them. We added engines and weapons and everything else. We did it slowly, carefully, over 200 years. And no one noticed because no one thought to look. Ben Carter entered the bridge. He was the weapons officer, and he looked excited. "Commander Captain, you need to see this." He brought up a new display. It showed the Sentinel's weapon systems. There were thousands of them. Point defense guns that could shoot down missiles, energy cannons that could melt through armor, and at the center, the main weapon. "We finished testing the primary cannon today," Ben said. "It works perfectly. One shot can destroy a moon. 3 shots can crack a planet. And we can fire it every 30 seconds. Lisa stared at the numbers. The power required was enormous. The energy output was beyond anything she had ever seen. "How is this possible?" "Quantum reactors," Ben explained. "Dr. Sullivan designed them. Each ship has 12 reactors. Together, they produce more power than a small star. That's how we run the weapons, the shields, the engines, everything." Alex pulled up another display. This one showed ships, small ships by comparison, but still massive by normal standards. Each one was the size of a traditional battleship. "We also have fighters," Alex said. "Each planet ship carries 5,000 of them. They're fast, heavily armed, and shielded. Any one of them could fight 10 normal warships and win." Lisa did the math in her head. 7 planet ships, 5,000 fighters each. That was 35,000 fighters total, plus the 7 massive ships themselves, plus weapons that could destroy moons. "How many ships does the Viridian Empire have?" she asked. "Their full military is about 50,000 warships," Ben said. "Sounds like a lot, doesn't it? But their biggest ship is maybe 1 kilometer long. The Sentinel is 3,000 kilometers in diameter. We're not just bigger. We're in a completely different category." Alex's communicator beeped. He listened for a moment, then his face became serious. "That was Admiral Hayes. He's giving the order. We move into position today. All 7 ships. We stay hidden until the Viridians start moving their fleets. Then we reveal ourselves." Lisa felt her stomach tighten. This was really happening. After 200 years of planning and building and waiting, humanity was about to show the galaxy what they had created. "What's the plan?" she asked. "Simple," Alex said. "When the Viridian fleets move toward our colonies, we intercept them. We give them one chance to turn back. If they refuse, we destroy them. Completely. We show the galaxy that humanity is not weak. We show them that we will defend ourselves." "And then?" Lisa asked. "And then we see what happens," Alex said. "Maybe they'll leave us alone. Maybe they'll try to fight. But either way, they'll never treat us like slaves again." The bridge was quiet. Everyone was listening. Everyone knew what this meant. Some of them had been born on this ship, children of workers who spent their whole lives on the project. Others had joined as adults, leaving their families behind to work in secret. All of them had sacrificed for this moment. "Helm," Alex ordered. "Prepare to move the ship. Navigation, plot a course to Sector 7. Keep us in the empty space between stars. I want us close to human territory but invisible to any sensors." "Yes, Captain," the officers replied. Lisa felt the ship begin to move. There was no sound, no vibration. The Sentinel was so large and its engine so powerful that movement felt like standing still. But on the screens, she could see stars slowly shifting position. "Commander," Alex said, "contact the other ships. Tell them to take their positions. Tell them the waiting is over." Lisa nodded and went to the communication station. She sent the encrypted message to the Colossus, the Bastion, the Guardian, and the three others. One by one, they responded. They were ready, they were moving, they were done hiding. Humanity had been quiet for 300 years. They had accepted their place at the bottom of galactic society. They had smiled and bowed and done what they were told. But that time was over. The hidden giants were waking up, and the galaxy was about to learn a hard lesson about underestimating humanity. Nicole Brooks stood in front of the Galactic Council and tried to keep her voice calm. It was not easy. She was angry. She was tired. And she was watching her species being sold into slavery while the Council did nothing. "You cannot allow this," she said to the assembled representatives. "The Viridian Empire wants to take every human colony. They want to make 3 billion people into slaves. This is wrong." The council chamber was a massive dome filled with representatives from 40 different species. They sat in curved rows, looking down at her. Most of them looked bored. Some were not even paying attention. The council speaker was a tall alien with blue skin and 4 arms. He looked at Nicole with something like pity. "Ambassador Brooks, the decision has been made. Humanity does not have the military strength to maintain colonial claims. The Viridian Empire has offered to administer these worlds. The Council has approved this transfer." "Transfer?" Nicole felt her anger growing. "You mean conquest. You mean slavery." "I understand you are upset," the speaker said. "But this is how the galaxy works. Strong species protect their territories. Weak species accept their limitations. Humanity is weak. You have no significant military. You have no powerful allies. You must accept reality." Nicole looked around the chamber. She saw representatives from species who claimed to value justice, species who talked about peace and cooperation. None of them were speaking up for humanity. None of them cared. "How long?" she asked quietly. "The Viridian fleets will begin moving in 2 weeks, the speaker said. "They will reach human colonies within 1 month. I suggest you use this time to help your people evacuate peacefully." Nicole nodded slowly. She turned and walked out of the chamber. Her hands were shaking. She had been humanity's ambassador for 10 years. She had tried diplomacy. She had tried negotiation. She had tried everything, and it had all failed. She walked to her private office and locked the door. Then she pulled out a special communicator from a hidden drawer. This was not a regular device. It was connected to a network that did not officially exist. She pressed the button. "Brooks to Admiral Hayes," she said. The Admiral's voice came through immediately. "Ambassador, I watched your speech. I'm sorry." "Don't be," Nicole said. "They made their choice. Now we make ours. I want to be there when it happens." "We'll send a ship for you," the Admiral said. "You'll be on the Sentinel when we reveal ourselves." Nicole smiled for the first time in days. "Thank you. I want to see their faces." 2 weeks later, the Viridian fleets began to move. 5,000 warships separated into groups, each heading toward a different human colony. The largest group, 1,000 ships, headed toward New Terra. It was humanity's oldest colony and home to 200 million people. Steve Warren stood on the bridge of his fighter and watched the Viridian fleet approach. He was squadron leader for Fighter Group 7, which meant he commanded 50 fighters. His ship was tiny compared to the Viridian warships, but it was faster and more powerful than anything they had. "All fighters, this is Warren," he said into his communicator. "Stay in formation. Wait for the order. Remember, we are not here to start a fight. We are here to end one." Behind him, hidden in the darkness of space, the Sentinel waited. It was powered down, shields at minimum, looking like nothing more than a dead moon. The Viridians had no idea it was there. On the Sentinel's bridge, Lisa Chang watched the enemy fleet get closer. Nicole Brooks stood next to her wearing a visitor's badge. The ambassador looked nervous but determined. Range? Lisa asked. 1,000,000 kilometers and closing, an officer reported. They'll be in orbit of New Terra in 20 minutes. Captain Torres, this is Admiral Hayes, the communicator crackled. You are authorized to reveal the ship. Give them one chance to withdraw, just one. Understood, Admiral, Alex replied. He looked at Lisa. Bring us online. Full power. All weapons active. All shields maximum. Lisa felt the ship come alive around her. The quantum reactors reached full output. Energy flooded through every system. The Sentinel went from looking like a dead rock to looking like an angry god. Open a channel to the Viridian fleet, Alex ordered. All frequencies. Make sure everyone in the galaxy can hear this. Emma Gray worked the communications station. She was young, barely 25, but she had trained for this moment her whole life. Channel open, Captain. Broadcasting on all frequencies. Alex stood up straight. Nicole moved to stand beside him. They both looked at the main screen, which now showed the Viridian fleet commander. The Viridian looked shocked. His ship's sensors had just detected the Sentinel, and he was trying to understand what he was seeing. Viridian fleet, Alex said clearly. This is Captain Alex Torres of the human vessel Sentinel. You are approaching human territory with hostile intent. You have one chance to turn around and leave. This is your only warning. The Viridian commander laughed. Human vessel? I see only a small moon. Do you think you can frighten us with tricks? We have 1,000 warships. What do you have? We have this, Alex said. He nodded at Lisa. She gave the order. The Sentinel's shields went fully visible, creating a glowing sphere around the entire ship. Every weapon port opened. Thousands of cannons extended from the surface. The main gun began to charge, energy building until it glowed bright enough to be seen across the star system. The Viridian commander's face changed. His skin went pale. His eyes went wide. What is that? This is what happens when you underestimate humanity, Nicole said, stepping forward. For 300 years, you treated us like animals. You took our resources. You insulted us. You killed us. And we let you, because we were not ready. But we were building. We were preparing. And now we are done being quiet. On the main display, the tactical screen showed the size comparison. The Viridian warships were small dots. The Sentinel was a sphere so large it made them look like insects. Last chance, Alex said. Leave now or be destroyed. The Viridian commander looked at his tactical officer. They were talking, but the audio was not transmitted. Finally, the commander looked back at the screen. You are bluffing. One ship cannot defeat 1,000. Wrong answer, Alex said softly. He gave Lisa the signal. She activated the weapons. The Sentinel's point defense guns opened fire first. Thousands of energy beams shot out, each one targeting a different Viridian ship. Shields flared and died. Hulls melted. Ships exploded. In 30 seconds, 100 Viridian warships were destroyed. The fleet panicked. Ships broke formation. Some tried to run. Some tried to fight back. Their weapons fired at the Sentinel. Missiles and energy beams striking the shields. Nothing got through. The shields did not even flicker. Deploy fighters, Alex ordered. Steve Warren felt his ship launch from the bay. Around him, 5,000 other fighters launched at the same time. They swarmed out like angry bees, fast and deadly. Each fighter targeted multiple enemy ships. The battle was not fair. It was not even close. All fighters, Steve called. Remember the training, precision shots. Disable their engines first. Give them a chance to surrender. But the Viridians did not surrender. They kept fighting even as more of their ships exploded. They kept firing even though their weapons did nothing. Lisa watched the battle with mixed feelings. They were winning. Of course they were winning. But people were dying. Thousands of Viridians were dying because their commanders were too proud to retreat. Captain, Emma called from communications. I'm receiving emergency broadcasts from across the galaxy. Every species is watching this. They all know now. Nicole walked to the window and looked out at the battle. Good, she said quietly. Let them watch. Let them see what happens when you push humanity too far. In 17 minutes, the battle was over. 1,000 Viridian warships were destroyed or disabled. The Sentinel had not taken a single point of damage, not one. Alex opened the channel again. This time, he broadcast to the entire galaxy. This is Captain Alex Torres of humanity. We did not want this war. We tried peace. We tried diplomacy. You gave us slavery and death instead. So we built these ships in secret. We built 7 of them. 7 planet-sized warships that can destroy any fleet in the galaxy. He paused to let that sink in. We are giving every species 72 hours. Withdraw from human space. Recognize human sovereignty. Treat us as equals, or share the fate of this Viridian fleet. The choice is yours. The transmission ended. The Sentinel and its fighters moved into orbit around New Terra. Below, 200 million humans looked up and saw salvation in the sky. Across the galaxy, billions of aliens looked at their screens and realized everything had changed. Humanity was not weak anymore. Humanity was the strongest military power in the known galaxy, and they had been hiding it for 200 years. Admiral Peter Hayes stood in the command center of the Colossus and watched the galaxy react. It had been 48 hours since the Sentinel destroyed the Viridian fleet at New Terra. The response was chaos. Some species immediately withdrew from human space. They sent messages of apology and offers of trade agreements. They wanted to be humanity's friends now. Peter found this amusing but not surprising. Fear changed minds quickly. Other species were more cautious. They pulled back their forces but did not commit to anything. They wanted to see what would happen next. This was reasonable, and Peter respected it. But the Viridian Empire did not withdraw. They did not apologize. Instead, their emperor gave a speech calling humanity criminals and terrorists. He said one battle proved nothing. He said the Viridian Empire would never bow to humans. Then he mobilized his full military, 50,000 warships. Every vessel the Empire had. They were gathering near the Viridian home system, preparing for the largest military action in galactic history. They are really going to do this, Chris Palmer said. He was the tactical officer, and he had been running numbers all morning. They think if they bring everything, they can overwhelm us. Peter nodded. What do they see when they look at their data? They see 7 ships versus 50,000, Chris said. They see one battle where we surprised them. They think if they are ready this time, if they bring everything, they can win through sheer numbers. They are wrong, Peter said simply. But we will give them the chance to realize it. How long until our fleet is assembled? All 7 planet ships will be in position in 6 hours, Chris replied. Fighter squadrons are ready. Weapons are charged. We can engage whenever you give the order. Peter walked to the main display. It showed the Viridian home system. 5 planets, 3 of them inhabited. Billions of Viridians lived there. This was their center of power, their heart, their pride. We will not attack their planets, Peter said firmly. We will not kill civilians. We will destroy their military and nothing else. I want that clearly understood by every captain and every pilot. We are not monsters. We are defenders. Yes, Admiral, Chris said. Maria Santos appeared on the communication screen. She was the captain of the Bastion, another planet ship. Admiral Hayes, my crew is ready. We are moving into position now. Good, Peter said. Captain Santos, you will take the left flank with the Guardian. I will command the center with the Colossus. The Sentinel will take the right. The remaining 4 ships will stay in reserve until needed. Understood, Maria said. Admiral, the Viridians are broadcasting threats. They say they will destroy humanity completely. They say this is the end for us. Peter smiled coldly. Let them talk, Words are cheap. Let us see how brave they are when the shooting starts. Dan Foster sat in his fighter cockpit and checked his weapons for the 10th time. Everything was perfect. Everything was ready. But he was nervous anyway. This was going to be the biggest battle ever fought, and he was going to be in the middle of it. Fighter Group 12, this is Commander Foster, he said to his squadron. I know everyone is nervous. That is normal. But remember your training. Stay in formation. Follow your orders. Watch each other's backs. We are the best pilots in the galaxy, flying the best fighters ever built. We are going to be fine. Easy for you to say, Commander, someone replied. You have been in combat before. Dan laughed. I have been in simulations, same as you. None of us have fought a real battle before today. But we are ready. Trust your training. Trust your equipment. Trust each other. His fighter was attached to the Sentinel's flight bay, along with 4,999 others. When the order came, they would all launch at once. It would be beautiful and terrifying. The hours passed slowly. The 7 planet ships moved into position around the Viridian home system. The Viridian fleet formed up to meet them. 50,000 warships arranged in attack formations, their weapons armed, their shields up, their crews ready to fight. Peter watched them form up and felt something like sadness. So many people were about to die, not because humanity wanted war, but because the Viridian Emperor was too proud to admit he was wrong. Open a channel, Peter ordered. Let me speak to their Emperor directly. The screen changed. The Viridian Emperor appeared. He was old and covered in military decorations. He looked angry and confident. Human Admiral, you dare approach our home system with only 7 ships. Your arrogance will be your end. Emperor, Peter said calmly. You can still stop this. Order your fleet to stand down. Recognize human sovereignty. No one else has to die today. Never, the Emperor spat. You destroyed one of our fleets through surprise and trickery. But we are ready now. We know your secret. We will bury you in ships until your weapons run out of energy and your shields fail. Then we will take your precious planet ships and use them against your colonies. This is the end of humanity. Peter sighed. I tried. Remember that I tried. He closed the channel and looked at Chris. Give the order. All ships, engage. The battle began with light. The Viridian fleet fired first, 50,000 ships all shooting at once. Missiles streaked through space. Energy beams cut through the darkness. It was beautiful and terrible, a storm of fire and death. All of it hit the shields of the 3 lead planet ships and did nothing. The shields absorbed the impacts and did not even flicker. The quantum reactors that powered them were so strong that conventional weapons could not break through. Return fire, Peter ordered. Point defense systems only. Show them the difference. The Colossus, the Sentinel, and the Bastion opened fire with their point defense guns. These were the smallest weapons on the ships, designed to shoot down missiles and fighters. Thousands of beams shot out, each one targeting an enemy warship. Viridian shields failed, hulls melted, ships exploded. In the first minute of the battle, 2,000 enemy warships were destroyed. The Viridian fleet did not retreat. They pushed forward, trying to get close enough for their weapons to be more effective. They swarmed around the human ships like insects around lights. Deploy all fighters, Peter ordered. 35,000 human fighters launched from 7 planet ships. They filled space with their numbers, each one fast and deadly. Dan Foster led his squadron into the battle, his fingers steady on the controls. Pick your targets, he called to his pilots. Focus fire, 3 fighters per enemy ship. Disable and move on. The battle became a chaos of movement and fire. Human fighters danced through enemy formations, their weapons precise and powerful. Viridian warships tried to shoot them down but could not keep up. The human fighters were too fast, too agile, too advanced. Maria Santos watched from the Bastion's bridge as her fighters tore through enemy ships. "They are not adapting," she said. "They just keep attacking the same way, hoping numbers will save them." "They have never fought an enemy like us," her tactical officer replied. "They do not know how to adapt. They only know how to overwhelm." 3 hours into the battle, the Viridian fleet had lost 20,000 ships. The human fleet had lost nothing. Not one fighter. Not one scratch on the planet ships. Peter opened a channel again. "Viridian Emperor, surrender now. You cannot win. Stop sacrificing your people for pride." The Emperor's face appeared. He looked desperate now. "Keep fighting!" he screamed at his fleet. "All ships! Kamikaze attacks! Ram the human vessels!" Peter shook his head sadly. "Activate main weapons! End this!" The 3 planet ships charged their primary cannons. Energy built up in the massive guns until they glowed like small suns. Then they fired. The main cannon of the Colossus hit a group of 5,000 enemy ships. The beam was so wide and so powerful that all 5,000 were vaporized instantly. They simply ceased to exist. The Sentinel and Bastion fired their main guns at other formations. Thousands more ships died in seconds. The Viridian fleet broke. Ships turned and ran. Some tried to surrender. Some just drifted, their crews too shocked to function. "Cease fire," Peter ordered. "Let them run. Let them surrender. The battle is over." But it was not quite over yet. From behind the Viridian home world, 3 new massive shapes appeared. The remaining 4 human planet ships jumped into the system. Peter opened a channel to the galaxy. "This is Admiral Peter Hayes of humanity. You have seen what 7 of our ships can do. But we did not build 7. We built 10. We have 10 planet ships. We have the power to defend ourselves against any threat. We have the power to enforce peace in this galaxy." He paused and looked at the camera. "But we do not want conquest. We do not want empire. We want only what you took from us. Respect, equality, the right to exist without fear. Any species that grants us this will find humanity to be a good friend and strong ally. Any species that threatens us will face the same fate as the Viridian fleet today." The transmission ended. The battle was over. 50,000 Viridian warships reduced to wreckage in just 6 hours. The human fleet was untouched. The message was clear. Dan Foster landed his fighter back on the Sentinel. His hands were shaking now that the adrenaline was fading. He had survived. They had all survived. And they had won. In the command center, Peter sat down heavily. He felt old and tired. "Contact the Viridian Emperor. Tell him we accept his surrender. Tell him we will help them rebuild their fleet. But only if they sign a non-aggression treaty and recognize all human colonies." "He is already broadcasting acceptance," Chris said. "He agrees to all terms." Peter nodded. Around the galaxy, other species were sending messages, treaties, trade agreements, requests for alliances. Everything was changing. Humanity had fought one battle and won a war. Now they had to figure out how to maintain the peace. Nicole Brooks walked into the Galactic Council chamber, and everything was different. The last time she was here, she stood alone at the bottom, begging them to save her people. They had ignored her. Today, she walked to the center platform. A new seat had been added there, right next to the council speaker. It was marked with the symbol of humanity. A permanent seat, a seat with veto power. A seat that meant humanity was now one of the ruling powers of the galaxy. The council speaker stood and bowed to her. Actually bowed. Nicole tried not to smile. "Ambassador Brooks," the speaker said, "on behalf of the Galactic Council, I welcome humanity as a permanent member. Your species has proven itself strong and capable. We look forward to working with you to maintain galactic peace." Nicole looked around the chamber. 40 species represented here. Every one of them had voted to ignore humanity's suffering just 6 months ago. Now they all smiled at her and pretended they had always been friends. "Thank you, Speaker," Nicole said calmly. "Humanity accepts this seat, but I want to make something clear to everyone here. We remember how we were treated. We remember being told we were weak. We remember watching our colonies burn while this council did nothing." The chamber became very quiet. "We have power now," Nicole continued. "We have 10 planet ships that can destroy any fleet in the galaxy. We could use that power to take revenge. We could do to you what you let the Viridians do to us. But we will not. That is not who we are." She looked at each representative in turn. "Humanity wants peace. We want fair trade. We want all species to be treated with respect, not just the strong ones. We will use our power to protect, not to conquer. But make no mistake, if anyone threatens humanity or our allies, we will defend ourselves, completely." The council speaker nodded. "A fair position, Ambassador. Now, shall we discuss the restructuring of galactic defense forces?" The meeting went on for hours. Nicole negotiated terms for human military patrols in neutral space. She established new trade routes that would benefit smaller species. She pushed for laws that would prevent any species from enslaving another. It was exhausting work, but it was also satisfying. For the first time, humanity had a real voice in the galaxy. For the first time, people listened when she spoke. Jack Morrison stood in the construction bay and watched workers dismantle weapon systems. The Sentinel was being modified. The heavy weapons were being removed and replaced with scientific equipment. The fighter bays were being converted to research laboratories. The warship was becoming an exploration vessel. "Are you sure about this?" Kate Sullivan asked. She stood next to him, looking at the modifications with mixed feelings. "These ships won the war. They gave us peace." "That is exactly why we can change them," Jack said. "We built them for war because we had to. We used them to fight because we had no choice. But we do not want to be a military power forever. We want to explore. We want to discover. We want to build things, not destroy them." Kate nodded slowly. "The Council wants us to keep some of them as warships, for defense." "And we will," Jack said. 4 ships will remain as defensive vessels: the Colossus, the Bastion, the Guardian, and the Fortress. They will patrol trade routes and protect smaller species from pirates and raiders. But the other 6 are being converted. The Sentinel will be a science vessel. The Horizon will be a colony ship. The others will have different purposes, peaceful purposes. A young worker walked by carrying equipment. She could not be more than 20 years old. She had been born on the Sentinel, raised inside the secret project. Now she was helping transform it into something new. "What about you?" Kate asked. "You spent your whole life on this project, 20 years of keeping secrets. What will you do now?" Jack smiled. "I am going to retire. I am going to go to New Terra and buy a small house with a garden. I am going to grow vegetables and watch the sunset. I am going to be boring and normal for the first time in my life." Kate laughed. "That sounds nice. You earned it." "What about you?" Jack asked. "Admiral Hayes asked me to design the next generation of ships," Kate said. "Not warships, colony ships, research vessels, ships that can travel to other galaxies and see what is out there." I said yes. They stood together and watched the workers. The war was over. The building was just beginning. Laura Anderson stood on the surface of New Hope and looked at the ruins. This had been her home once. She was 7 years old when the Viridians destroyed it. Her family escaped, but 3 million others did not. The planet had been empty and dead for 3 years. Now people were coming back. Construction crews were rebuilding cities. Farmers were planting crops again. Children were playing in parks that were still half finished. New Hope was getting a second chance. Laura's communicator beeped. "Anderson, this is Site Supervisor. We need you at Grid 17. They found something in the ruins." Laura walked through the construction zone to Grid 17. Workers had uncovered an old memorial wall. Before the attack, People had put pictures and messages on this wall to remember loved ones who had died. The Viridian attack had knocked it over and buried it under rubble. "Should we save it?" a worker asked. "Or clear it away?" Laura looked at the memorial. Pictures of people who would never see New Hope rebuilt. Messages of love and loss. History that should not be forgotten. "Save it," she said firmly. "Clean it carefully. We will put it in the new city center. We need to remember what happened here. We need to remember why we fought." The worker nodded and began organizing the careful excavation. Laura's father appeared behind her. He was older now, his hair gray, but he smiled when he saw the memorial being saved. "Good decision, Laura. Never forget the cost of freedom." "I will not forget," Laura promised. "None of us will." Admiral Peter Hayes stood in his office and looked at the stars. He was officially retiring today. 52 years of military service were ending. He had seen humanity at its weakest and at its strongest. He had overseen the construction of weapons that could destroy worlds. He had commanded the battle that changed galactic history. Now he was old and tired and ready to rest. There was a knock on his door. "Come in," he said. Nicole Brooks entered, followed by Jack Morrison and Kate Sullivan. They were all smiling. "We heard you were leaving," Nicole said. "We wanted to say goodbye properly." "And thank you," Jack added. "None of this would have happened without you. You kept the project going when everyone else wanted to give up. You made the hard decisions. You saved humanity." Peter shook his head. "I just did my job. All of us did. Millions of people worked on this project. Every single one of them saved humanity. I just had the privilege of being in charge." "Where will you go?" Kate asked. "I have a cabin near the mountains on New Terra," Peter said. "I'm going to go there and do nothing for a while. Maybe write a book. Maybe just sit on the porch and watch the clouds. I have earned some peace." They talked for a while longer, remembering the hard years and celebrating the victory. Then they said their goodbyes and left. Peter picked up his bag and took one last look at his office. So many years. So many memories. He walked out and headed to the transport that would take him home. 5 years after the One-Day War, the galaxy was very different. Human ships patrolled trade routes, keeping them safe from pirates. Human scientists worked with alien researchers to solve problems that affected everyone. Human diplomats helped smaller species defend their rights in the Council. The Viridian Empire rebuilt their fleet, but they never threatened anyone again. They became a trading partner with humanity, surprising everyone. Former enemies became cautious friends. Other species that had been aggressive became more careful. No one wanted to face planet ships in combat. Peace became easier to maintain when war became too costly. But humanity did not rest on its military power alone. They used their new influence to push for fairness. They created laws protecting smaller species. They established trade agreements that benefited everyone, not just the powerful. They proved that strength could be used for good. Lisa Chang stood on the bridge of the Sentinel and looked at the scanners. They had just discovered a new planet in an unexplored system. It had oceans and continents and an atmosphere that could support life. It was perfect for colonization. "Mark the coordinates," she told her crew. "Send the data to the colony planners. Another world for humanity to call home." Alex Torres smiled from the captain's chair. "How many does that make?" 63, Lisa said. 63 new worlds discovered in 5 years. We went from 42 colonies to over 100, and we are just getting started. The Sentinel's mission had changed from war to exploration, but it was still serving humanity, still protecting, still discovering, just in a different way. "Set course for the next system," Alex ordered. "Let us see what else is out there." The ship moved through space, leaving the new planet behind. Somewhere on that world, humans would build cities. Children would grow up under a new sun. Families would make new lives and new memories. The galaxy had learned a hard lesson about underestimating humanity. But humanity had learned something too. Power meant nothing without purpose. Strength meant nothing without compassion. Victory meant nothing without mercy. Humanity built planet-sized warships in secret. They revealed them at the perfect moment. They won a war in a single day. But their greatest achievement was not the weapons they built or the battles they won. Their greatest achievement was choosing peace after winning the power to enforce it. They could have become conquerors. They chose to become protectors instead. The galaxy was better for it, and humanity was finally, truly free.